This one's for the latchkey kids, the serial warriors, and anyone who still hums the Fraggle Rock theme at random. Hey there, nostalgia seekers. Welcome back to Gen X Countdown, where we journey through the quirkiest and most unforgettable corners of our shared past. I'm Steve, your guide and proud member of the Gen X tribe. Today we're diving deep into a selection of children's television shows that dared to be different, blending puppetry, live action, and animation in ways that left lasting impressions on our young minds. Remember those days when you'd plop down in front of the TV, cereal in hand, ready to be transported in fantastical worlds? Shows like The Great Space Coaster and its zany characters and catchy tunes, or Fraggle Rock, where Jim Henson introduced us to the subterranean realm of Fraggles, Doozers, and Gorgs. And how could we forget the Banana Splits, that rock band of furry animals who took us on wild adventures? Each of these shows was an outlier in its own right, pushing the boundaries of children's television and leaving an indelible mark on our generation. So if you're still here, this video was made for you. Hit that subscribe button and let's embark on this nostalgic journey together.
And here is G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. G.I. Joe has hands that grip. Fingers you hold open and let close. Hands that hold on with a Kung Fu Grip. The grip you help Joe use in self-defense. G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip.
It's the Great Space Coaster. Get on board on the Great Space Coaster. We'll explore a comet ride of fantasy.
Now, premiering in 1981, The Great Space Coaster was a unique blend of live-action puppetry and animation. The show followed three young singers, Francine, Danny, and Roy, who were whisked away to a habitable asteroid called Coasterville by a clown named Baxter. He was piloting the space coaster himself, and Coasterville was inhabited by a host of eccentric puppet characters, including Griddle the Gorilla, Knock Knock the Woodpecker, and Edison the Elephant, and the ever-memorable Gary Gnu, host of the Gary Gnu News Show. He famously quipped, "No GNUs is good GNUs." The show's format was a kaleidoscope of skits, musical performances, and animated shorts. One notable segment featured Roy showcasing short films on his portable fold-up television, introducing many young viewers to international animations like Italy's La Linea. The musical interludes often had the trio performing original songs or covers of popular hits from the 60s and 70s, adding a rock and roll flair to the children's program. But culturally, the Great Space Coaster mirrored the early 80s fascination with space travel and the burgeoning MTV music scene. The character Rory, a wild-looking lion-like VJ, was introduced in later seasons, parodying the emerging video jockey trend. The show's whimsical approach to storytelling and its electric cast made it stand out among the rest from 1981 to 1986. Critically, while it didn't achieve the monumental success of other children's shows of its time, it garnered a dedicated fan base and is fondly remembered for its creativity and unique format. The title animation even won an Emmy Award in 1981, which was a testament to its innovative design. And if the Great Space Coaster felt like a trippy ride through space on roller skates, our next show tunneled even deeper, literally. Let's head underground where things get musical, philosophical, and just a little bit weird.
G.I. Joe Adventure Team. 5 rugged men with light-like hair. They're outfitted for action, and they take their orders from this man, the Adventure Team commander.
Get your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the music play. Fraggle Rock.
In 1983, Jim Henson introduced the world to Fraggle Rock. It's a musical fantasy series that delved into the interconnected lives of various creatures. The Fraggles, small anthropomorphic beings, resided in a labyrinth cave system known as Fraggle Rock. Their lives intertwined within the industrious Doozers, who built intricate constructions that were consumed by the Fraggles idly enough, and the Gorgs, towering beings who considered themselves rulers of the universe. The series masterfully addressed complex themes such as prejudice, environmentalism, and spirituality, all wrapped up in super catchy songs and whimsical storytelling. Characters like Gobo, Red, and Wembley became icons, each bringing their unique personalities to the forefront. The show's ability to tackle serious issues through the lens of fantasy made it both entertaining and thought-provoking. Reflecting societal concerns of the early 80s, Fraggle Rock subtly commented on environmental degradation and the importance of harmony among different communities. The symbiotic relationship between the Fraggles and Doozers highlighted the delicate balance of ecosystems and the consequences of overconsumption. Was critically acclaimed, Fraggle Rock was praised for its innovative puppetry, engaging storytelling, and memorable music. It achieved international success, airing in over 95 countries and being adapted into animated formats. Its legacy continued with reboots and renewed interest, cementing its place as a timeless classic in children's television. And while the Fraggles taught us about community and cohabitation in the depths of the earth, the next crew had no interest in depth at all. They were loud, chaotic, and borderline hallucinogenic. Let's crank the amp to 11.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
This is the rugged G.I. Joe adventure team. Today's mission, rescue stolen idol. Joe gets it together and takes off.
Banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 bananas make a bunch and so do many more.
Now this one debuted in 1968 and it's the Banana Splits Adventure Hour. It was a variety show featuring a rock band composed of 4 costumed animal characters: Fleagle the Beagle, Bingo the Gorilla, and Drooper the Lion, as well as Snorky the Elephant. This zany quartet hosted a mix of live action and animated segments, creating a psychedelic experience that was quintessentially late 60s. This Hanna-Barbera creation was a chaotic mix of slapstick comedy, surreal musical numbers, and serialized adventure segments like Danger Island and Arabian Nights. Everything about it screamed, "Let's make Saturday mornings feel like an acid trip, but for kids." The Banana Splits themselves were rock stars, literally. They performed catchy offbeat songs that got stuck in your head faster than gum on a shoe. Their theme song, Tra-La-La, 1 banana, 2 banana, was a sugary earworm you either loved or hated, often both. Their songs were insane. The live-action parts were interspersed with cartoons and cliffhanger serials, creating a fractured but addictive viewing experience. It was a show where psychedelic meets slapstick, like if Monty Python and the Monkees raised a litter of Teletubbies. Though it premiered in the late 60s, reruns throughout the 70s and 80s embedded the Splits into Gen X brain matter. It was, again, chaotic. It was colorful, and somehow, man, it just worked. The show also foreshadowed the mashup culture we'd see decades later with YouTube and TikTok. Random content stitched together with a loose theme and a super catchy hook. In 2019, the Banana Splits were oddly rebooted as a horror movie bunch of villains. Somebody thought the psychedelic pranksters needed a Five Nights at Freddy's makeover, and it was weird, and not in the good Gen X way. Now, if the Banana Splits were Saturday morning's rock concert, our next show is more like staying overnight at your weird uncle's puppet-filled Airbnb. Check in, drop your bags, and brace yourselves for an extended stay.
We'll be back in a minute for more fun and surprises.
Let's check into one of the weirdest accommodations in children's television history, and it's GiggleSnort Hotel. Airing from 1975 to 1978 and hosted by Chicago puppeteer Bill Jackson, this fever dream of a show featured a ragtag cast of bizarre puppet residents and surreal humor. You had a dragon named Dirty Frank, a bossy puppet head named the Old King, and of course there was Blob, the most inexplicably terrifying lump of clay since, I guess, forever. When I edited this and saw the Blob, I realized how seminal he was and how deep in my mind he was buried. It was like seeing an old friend you forgot even existed. GiggleSnort wasn't just a fun name. It described exactly how you reacted while watching. You'd laugh, you'd snort, sometimes in fear, sometimes in delight, and often because you couldn't quite believe what you were seeing. The show was spun off from Jackson's earlier work like BJ and Dirty Dragon, but GiggleSnort had that rare blend of earthiness and surrealism that somehow clicked. And it never talked down to kids. Sure, it was goofy, but it was also smart in a sly, sneaky way, making jokes that kids could laugh at while adults quietly wondered if this was a fever dream. Culturally, it arrived at a moment when local children's programming was king. Syndication meant this wasn't a national juggernaut, but it earned a cult status in the Midwest and stuck with anyone who saw it. Even the name GiggleSnort Hotel feels like it was spit out by a kid high on root beer and jelly beans. Legacy-wise, Bill Jackson became a beloved figure in Chicago and beyond. The puppets have since been displayed in museums, and nostalgic fans still post blurry VHS clips on YouTube. That's love, folks. That's what we're doing. After surviving a night at GiggleSnort Hotel, maybe you're in the mood for something calmer, something that doesn't involve sentient clay blobs. Let's head to a pastel cul-de-sac where life lessons come with a frog and a vest, as all the best ones usually do.
Wednesday, Real People takes a look at the shape the world is in, and it's in pretty good shape. Then,
here comes Crazy Legs Jackson.
Arnold tackles
Zoo Revue, coming right at you, with three delightful animals.
Before Blue's Clues, before Barney, and even before Sesame Street went full mainstream, there was new Zoo Revue. This one debuted in 1972, and the show featured 3 giant anthropomorphic animal characters. There was Henrietta Hippo, you remember her, and Charlie the Owl, and Freddie the Frog. They were alongside 2 human hosts, Doug and Emmy Joe. Every episode tackled a moral or emotional lesson, and stuff like sharing, honesty, friendship, or even feeling left out. But they didn't scream it at you like some cartoon drill sergeant. They sang it, and they sang it softly, with awkward dance moves. And you know what? It worked. The characters were beautifully weird. Henrietta was a prim, pink hippo with ballet aspirations, and Charlie was a professor-level intellectual owl who always had a fun fact ready to go. And Freddie the Frog was just chill, like California surfer vibes before it was a thing kind of chill. The show set design was simple, just a pastel suburbia backdrop, but it worked. It gave the characters room to perform little skits and engage in soft-spoken conversation. The kind that made kids feel safe, not hyped up, not crazy, not chaotic. Societally, it was pure early 70s values, empathy, politeness, and indoor voices. No explosions, no hypercolor graphics, just gentle life lessons, all wrapped in pleasant songs and charming awkwardness. It aired for 6 years but was in reruns throughout the late 70s and early 80s, and then seeped into the memories of countless Gen X kids who may not remember exact plots, but definitely remember Henrietta's voice or Freddie's flailing arms when he danced. Critically, it was never edgy or groundbreaking, but it was loved. It filled the PBS-style educational niche before it had a label. Its legacy is a soft landing place for kids learning how to be kind humans and a cozy, comforting show. All right, we've had our gentle moment. Now let's rip the Band-Aid off and dive face first into full-blown puppet warfare. Less be kind and more kill the alien queen. Time to face the marionette menace.
Return after these messages.
When you're feeling bored or blue, watch out for the munchies. They find ways of making you munch when you're not hungry.
Terrahawks. Stay on this channel.
This next one is a wild departure from the trip we've been on. Terrahawks. Premiering in 1983, this British sci-fi series was brought to us by Jerry Anderson, the mastermind behind Thunderbirds, but instead of noble marionettes flying around in pastel jets, Terrahawks gave us shrieking aliens, killer robots, and deeply unsettling puppet faces. This wasn't your average Saturday morning show. It was set in the year 2020, ironically not nearly as cool as the show promised. Earth is under attack by a hideous alien queen named Zelda. She and her grotesque band of mutants were tearing things up. The only defense, the Terrahawks team, a ragtag band of heroes with massive space vehicles and questionable haircuts. The puppetry style was dubbed Super Macrame, hang out with me, Super Macramation. Translation, even creepier than Thunderbirds. Every character had slightly dead eyes and that uncanny valley look that made you question whether they were friend or foe. But it was fun. There was action, humor, and a total disregard for consistent tone. One episode might be straight-up space opera, the next a slapstick robot duel. Think Doctor Who meets Team America, and they both go on a week-long bender. For Gen Xers, Terrahawks hit differently. It was broadcast mostly in the UK and later found its way into niche US markets, giving it that underground cult vibe. You didn't just watch Terrahawks, you survived it. Culturally, it mirrored early 80s fears about nuclear war, alien invasion, and technological chaos. The robot characters, especially the spherical Zeroids, represented both comedy relief and a subtle warning. Your smart gadgets might one day talk back, and man, are they ever. Critics were mixed. Some called it a triumph of creativity, others called it absolute madness. But decades later, it still has a loyal fan base and even got an audio drama reboot. Now that's longevity. I guess I have to ask, what the hell did we just witness? A full-on puppet-powered nostalgia trip straight into the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully unhinged corners of Gen X childhood TV. Man, these weren't just shows. They were formative experiences wrapped in foam rubber, catchy theme songs, and an unhealthy dose of surrealism. Each one was its own fever dream. Terrahawks gave us marionette warfare and a villain who looked like your sleep paralysis demon. Fraggle Rock took us underground to teach us about coexistence with a side of doozer-made architecture, and the Banana Splits were basically a musical variety show run by acid-tripping mascots, and GiggleSnort Hotel made us laugh and question our reality, sometimes at the same exact time. The Great Space Coaster threw in rock ballads, news parodies, and a talking elephant because, man, why the hell not? And the new Zoo Revue said, let's chill out and be kind to each other. All while a pink hippo told us how to express our feelings. These shows were outliers, not because they were perfect, but because they dared to be completely themselves. In a media world dominated by polished branding and toy-selling strategies, these programs were delightfully off-kilter, deeply experimental, and absolutely unforgettable. They were the weird cousins at the kids' TV reunion, the ones who showed up in disco pants or Victorian capes and made everyone feel uncomfortable and wildly entertained at the same time. And man, we loved them for it. Whether they aired nationally or locally, these shows became core memories for Gen X kids all over the world. They didn't just teach us lessons, they taught us to embrace the weird,
Hit the boots down the
question the
chute.
weird, and dance like a puppet lion no one's watching.
There's a mouse in the
Here's your
tub, a rubber
challenge.
dub.
The man
Which
in
of
the
these
pants
shows
that
warped your tiny brain
The craziest game you've ever seen.
Was it
Get the
Live
cheese,
from
but don't get
GiggleSnort
trapped.
Hotel
Oh,
or
don't be
Zoo
puppet
Revue
trapped.
from Terrahawks?
Mouse on the run.
Did you
Little
crush
mice on the run.
Give the mice a little scare. Race
I
them
got
just for
no
fun.
I go here, you go there.
Let me know in the comments and share your weirdest, funniest stories of your
From Milton Bradley.
Because if you're still here, then you know this countdown wasn't just a trip down memory lane. It was a rocket-fueled, banana-splitting, giggle-snorting joyride. And we're so glad you came along for it.